All right, today finds us at the Lost Dutchman Mining Association, LDMA camp, Stanton camp in Arizona. This is an organization that kind of caters to people who like to look for gold, and they have camps all over the West, and I think maybe some in the East. And I'm here because Garrett is putting on a little demonstration, and I stopped in, sit in a couple classes that they had the last few days, and these guys are learning how to use metal detectors to look for gold. But what we're going to do today is we're going to take a little tour of this town, and this is a real town. This was built back started in the 1860s, 1863. So we're going to leave them be, and what we're going to do is we're going to check out some of this mining equipment. I want to talk to you about this a little bit. This was probably an actual hotel at one time. Just to, so you know, yeah, they're 1868, okay. 1863 is when they started it. Antelope Creek, which does not have any water. God, 3,500 people lived here. If you look around, there's 3,500 people lived right here. Isn't that crazy? But it's a really rich mining area. All right, so let's just look at some of the equipment. This is the kind of stuff that we would find out in the desert, and we do find things like, look at these picks. Look how worn they are and broken. You got axes in there. You got lots of cans. You got the boys flying around up there somewhere. I don't see them, but those are fighter jets. They're practicing. Now, I don't know what all these things are, obviously. I know what some are. This is an old canteen. Watch out for scorpions. Look at all the treasures they have in there. Spoons. This is a wash basin. That might be a small wash basin. That's an alarm clock. That's a milk pail. We find those back home. Don't know what would have been in there, but there's lots of bullet holes in it. See anything else interesting? It must have been a lizard right there. I saw a bunch of dirt move. All kinds of cans. We find lots of these cans when we're out and about, and lots of horseshoes in here. I don't really see any mule shoes. That might be. That's a mule shoe. See, they look quite a bit different than a horseshoe. That's a mule, and that's a horse. So mules were actually really popular out here because they were much more hardy than horses. Some little rakes. That's some type of, you pick stuff up with that, like ice maybe. They had two handles so you can carry it. What else they have over here? All kinds of nice little bottles, and that's an insulator. And we were up at a stamp mill in an earlier video, and this is the kind of stuff that they would have had up there. These are kind of neat. These are, you see these being sold on eBay a lot as cannonballs, but what they actually are called mill balls or crusher balls. They would put these in a big giant cylinder, a whole bunch of these with the pieces of rock, the gravel and stuff that they would get out of these mines, and the stuff that they would break up. And these would go around and be like a big tumbler, and these heavy iron balls would crush the stone and turn it into powder. When the stone was turned into powder, then they would take that and further refine it. They could use mercury and acid and other things like that to get the gold out. But this is how they crushed the stone, one of the ways. And you'll often see these sold as cannonballs on eBay, so you got to be really careful. These are there's millions of these out in the desert. Hope it doesn't explode out in the desert. You can see these have been a lot more worn. If you ever see a cannonball, it has a mold seam like that, you know it's a crusher ball. We use these back east as well to break up limestone into gravel. They don't use them anymore, but I want to show you one more thing out here that I think is neat, and then we're going to go inside of the museum and look at some of the better stuff. I wanted to show you this piece here. Looks like a cannon. I believe what that is, and don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure. Well, let's look. I'll take a picture of that. I think it's what they call a monitor. And what they would do is they put water in there to come down off the mountain with, might be a dam, and water, high pressure water would get in there, and because it's focused down like that to a point, it would shoot out with a lot of pressure. And they would take these things and they would just spray them across the mountainsides, and then wash all the water off the mountains right down to the bedrock. Extremely, extremely bad for the environment. And they actually outlawed them at some point, maybe around 1900, maybe a little bit earlier. But that was a really common way to basically take mountains down to the bedrock. And this is an original building here. That's not original, of course, but all this other wood is. And I'm not exactly sure what they did in here, but this is how they have it set up as the museum. So let's just go through it real quick. First thing you see is a card table. Aces and eights, for those of you who don't know, that's called a dead man's hand. I think it was Wild Bill Hickok had this hand, aces and eights, when he got shot and killed. So maybe Slick shot him. But anyway, this is like a typical card table with different games you could play on it. That could easily date to the late 1800s. Looking at some of this, I don't know when those pictures were taken, but this is a record of naturalization for Stanton, Charles Stanton, the guy who kind of started all this here. And I think he was from Ireland, I'm not sure, but he's actually, what I understand, he was not a nice person and caused the deaths of many people. Paid to have families killed in the area. All right, little wood stove. We find tons of these kinds of pieces of stuff. Every time I find a piece of cast iron, I don't know what it is. I say it's probably off a stove. If we can find a light in here. I kind of wanted to take you in here because there's so many different things that we find metal detecting. You'll see them right here. Interesting little pack up here. The reason I want to show you that because you can see these grommets. We find these grommets all the time. Now, it might not be to a pack, but it could be to a pack like that. This is a little dry wash thing. Would have had a handle here. You crank it, and it would have had a cable that went around or a rope, and it fluffs it. You put your sand down. Basically, you have to put like sand and the gold sand and whatnot in here, and turn that thing. It'll fluff, 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 and it separates out the gold from the sand and the silt and stuff, and that's for water. That would have been a water one, I think. What do we have on the walls? We have, hopefully you can see, lots of spikes, railroad spikes and stuff, and all kinds of picks, flattened cans, old shovels. This is the type of stuff you would find if you were looking around those foundations and stuff like that I showed you, like when we were up at the stamp mill. I'm sure there's tons of this stuff out there still. These are teeth to like dig with, probably to like a backhoe type thing, or something like that. That's a wrench, of course. What do we have over here? We have canteens. This is probably a World War II or Vietnam era canteen, some older canteens. It's a little diorama of the site. Nice old canteens. Those would have been late 1800s probably. Early 1900s. Flattened stuff, lots of cool bottles. You notice here, this is a canteen they punched holes in, and they might have done that to make it to a classifier. And what that is where you throw your dirt and your rocks and your gravel on, and you shake it, and the fine stuff comes out, and that's usually where the gold is in that fine stuff. It classifies, takes away the big rocks from the small rocks. There's a bunch of homemade ones we're going to go look at in a minute. It's a cool little sewing machine. You put your foot on that and go up, and you push it down, and it makes it go around. Don't need electricity to run that. Different types of barbed wire, or this is the first time I'm actually seeing this bobbed wire. I grew up with people that called it bobbed wire, and I always thought it was just a mispronunciation, but there is actually a bobbed wire. So my entire life I was wrong about that. I thought that they were kind of foolish, but I guess I was a fool. Cow skulls up here. What else do we have? We have animal traps. You find lots of animal traps. That's a rifle barrel. That's probably a 22. I had one just like it. It has a little thing on the end that you pull to cock it. Pieces of lanterns here. All kinds of tools. You need these tools in a gold mining camp or just even in a house. You got flat irons. We find lots of those. That's interesting. That's a big spike. That was found in water. We find lots of these things when we're out detecting, and where we're going, we're going to find tons of them. That's like a opener for a can. Just turn it, get the lid off. Another classifier, another homemade classifier. Again, that's to get the fine sand and gravel out of the bigger rocks. Apparently, they used a lot of them here. Oh, here's a washboard. Check it out. I made a video where I talk about washboard roads, and that's how they get their name. It's like that. What people would do to wash clothes is, I guess you get water on there, and you take your clothes and you just rub them up and down, and those little bumps will help, it massages the fabrics and it gets the dirt out, helps get the dirt out. It's called a washboard. Really hard to, not something easy to use. That's another little doohickey to get gold. All right, I think that's about it in here. A couple things outside I want to show you real quick. I know this was a quick tour, but I just want to give you a taste of it. You can join the Ldma and come out and hunt these properties that they have and stay in places like this. It's a really cool organization. And check this out too. You can see how they have these nice wide boards, but there's splinters in them. There's gaps in them. What they would do back in the day is, of course, they have a board on the outside. There would be a board on the outside covering that. But they would put up this fabric type material on the walls, and that would keep the air and the dust from coming through. So it's almost like it's wallpaper, but it's almost like really heavy wallpapery fabric stuff. And that would tighten up a house, tighten up a room, so it would not be near as cold as it would be without it. A couple things outside, let's go do it. This is what's called a cleanup station for gold. When people looking for gold miners and stuff, you take your buckets that might have black sand and stuff in and bring them in here, and you can pan them out here. This is set up for anybody to use. But what I wanted to show you was these things. These are more classifiers, and again, that's how they would classify the soil, get the bigger rocks from the little tiny rocks in the sand and the black sand. That's what you wanted to pan. And those are homemade classifiers. So anytime you're out in the desert and you see things with bunches of holes, that might be what you're looking at. All right, this is our last stop on the little tour of the camp. I wanted to show you this little furnace. So basically what this is a furnace where they would superheat the gold dust and whatnot so they could make ingots out of it. Now take the little door off and you can look in there, and they would have had crucibles in there. It might have been little ceramic cups that they would melt it into. I thought that was kind of interesting. And people still use these today. Usually they're electric, but I doubt that one was. All right, so that's it for the tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I love looking at stuff like this because, you just find stuff like that when you're out detecting, and sometimes it just clicks and you say, oh, I saw that, the Ldma in Stanton, Arizona. I'll probably already forget about it by the time I get to my truck. You know how I am.
You are my lady, my big round baby, and I'll rock you until I go to sleep. She'll shake the coins from your pocket, take your gold chain and your locket. Mother Earth has no sympathy. She'll take the ring from your hand and bury it in the sand and keep it for eternity. Mother Earth, she's got her secrets she's promised to keep, hidden in her dirt or deep in her creek. Mother Earth, she ain't saying exactly what she's saving, where it is or what it might be. Mother Earth, you are my lady, my big round baby. I'll rock you until I go to sleep. She don't care if you're dying or if you're living or somewhere in between. Mother Earth, you are my lady, my big round baby, and I'll rock you until I go to sleep. She'll shake the coins from your pocket, take your gold chain and your locket. Mother Earth has no sympathy. She'll take the ring from your hand and bury it in the sand and keep it for eternity. Mother Earth, she's got her secrets she's promised to keep, hidden in her dirt or deep in her creek. Mother Earth, she ain't saying exactly what she's saving, where it is or what it might be. Mother Earth, you are my lady, my big round baby. I'll rock you until I go to sleep. She don't care if you're dying or if you're living or somewhere in